Welcome. Oh, welcome to Queer Vision Podcast. I'm here. I'm Koee Starr, Koee of Connect, and this is.
Hi, I'm Becca.
And this is.
Hi, I'm Megan.
And we're the Queer Vision Podcast. Today we sat down with Mother Inc. to talk about being a Black trans queer individual in North Carolina, her journey with theater, her favorite food, where you can find her, everything that's led to her drag persona and where she is now. So
religion, poetry, art, creative process.
Yeah, we went through it in this one. So
she is a much more interesting person than just her identity.
That part. And sorry.
Shut.
Anyway,
I think that yes, it's important that she is a Black trans drag queen.
But there is so much more to Mother Inc.
Also just really cool and nice.
Yeah, cool, nice, sweet soul. So if you want to learn more about her, as you should, then keep watching or listening.
Or both.
Or reading.
Definitely reading.
Definitely reading.
Yeah, because this will be in Volume 1, Issue 2, which is our February 2025. You know, for whenever we're super famous and people are going back and listening / reading / watching. Yeah, all of the archives, 2025, bitch.
Enjoy the pod.
Enjoy the podcast.
Hey.
Brother! Has arrived.
I'm late.
Oh well.
I'm almost at time.
You're not late.
You're wrapped time early.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Can you hear, and let me check something really quick. Something popped up.
Mother, you look beautiful.
Yes, you look gorgeous.
Thank you. I don't have any lashes on, so I was like, I hope I don't look crazy.
No, I love seeing you in full womana because I always see you in drag, so it's so nice to see you just living your life and being you.
When I'm at work, I will do a full drag face. It is crazy. And I'll have lashes on and everything, and then sometimes I'll be like, I am I don't know. I never paint soft. I very rarely paint soft. So when I do, I'm like, "Whoa, girl! I need to be out in the streets."
Who is this woman? Who is this natural woman?
Yeah.
Yes.
That is so I think trans. So I don't know when you're a trans drag queen, I feel which you can correct me if I'm wrong, but my experience being more femme presenting, it definitely is you're oh, I'm in drag, but I'm not in drag.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. I think with the difference between me as I'm in a woman mode and me in drag mode isn't the biggest. I think the difference mostly is just that I'm in performance, the level of performance I'm doing. If I'm as a woman, I'm well, I still like to look a little crazy, but not complete clown.
Affects your personality. Do you feel more cunty or more a character of drag when you're fully dragged up?
Okay.
Now people can see my Canadian anyway.
Yes. So now we're situated. Sorry about that.
Oh no, you're good.
So yeah, how's your day going? How's your week going so far?
Oh, so this week has been pretty okay. I started off a little weird. So I don't know. I'm in the middle of doing the Addams Family. I don't know if I talked about this. So I'm doing a local community production of Addams Family here in Rocky Mount, and so it's just I don't know. Right now, the difference between doing theater and drag is kind of jarring, and working and stuff. And so I don't know. So this week has been pretty weird, but getting the rhythm of it, I guess, for myself. But yeah.
I feel that's the hardest part. I feel I would imagine doing theater anyway is having to constantly readjust your schedule to oh, now I'm doing play, and so everything kind of flipped around.
Rehearsal comes.
You said what?
Rehearsal comes first.
Yeah, well, that's what they think. They really, it's so hard because the Addams Family that we're doing is 2 different casts. So there's a children's cast and there's an adult cast, and we alternate weekends. And when I'm not, I play Lurch in it, so I have no lines. I just kind of sing at the end very low. But like when I'm not Lurch on my weekend, I'm an ancestor, and the other weekend, so there's dances to learn, and it's just
Oh my
kind of
god.
crazy to understand, I guess, for me.
Yeah, that sounds overwhelming. So you do theater. How long have you been doing theater?
So I've been doing theater for about half. I'll be 30 this year, so I've been doing theater for about half of my life.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm shook, girl. I would have thought you were like early 20s. Like,
uh
I'm shook.
Last night I was at a pizza place in like one of a fur coat or something, and this lady was like, "You're what she said? You're a blessing. You're born a blessing." I was like, "Okay, girl." And she's like, "Ask me why you were born a blessing." And I was like, "Okay, girl, why was I born a blessing?" And she was like, "It's because you're going gray early." I was like, "Oh, well," because my hair was exposed. I have a lot of gray hair
Oh,
underneath
what?
this wig, which I love. I will say.
Yeah.
I love gray hair.
Mhm.
Okay.
Salt and Pepper,
Mm-hmm.
Michelle Visage.
Yes, very Michelle. Manila Luzon.
Yeah, I love Manila Luzon. So you've been doing theater for 15 years? How long have you been doing drag?
Oh, drag I've been doing for 2 years. Yesterday was my 2-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Honestly, I started doing drag because I kind of had a bad theater experience. So when I first started doing theater, it was before I came out as trans, and I did it in high school, and I fell in love with audience interaction. I love connection to the audience. And so when I first got people to laugh and I got people engaged, I really was like, okay, well, this is what I like doing this. And then I was towards the end of my high school career. I didn't think I was going to get into any colleges. I was like, I'm going to get a little bit of money. I'm going to New York City, and I'm going to start acting in New York City. I didn't get any money for graduating, but I did get into a college, and so I spent a year at North Carolina Central, and I didn't do theater at all. Um, and then I went to Nash Community College because I dropped out of Central, depressed, and realizing that I was trans. And so, like, I remember, like, it was, I Googled, the search I Googled was, like, do men ever want breast implants? And that was when I was like, I don't know, this might be a lot. And so I started doing theater when I went back to Nash Community College. And I got to play every part I ever wanted. Like I was seen as a woman. I was able to do things, and then I did this one show the year before I started drag, I think, and it was like so tough. It was a musical, and the music director was Meanie McMeanerson. Like I remember I had heard them working on a song that I was doing, or that I was supposed to do, and I was like, okay, well there's certain parts I can't reach as a person who was born a certain way. Um, but they basically took the whole song away from me. And I remember like sitting there in rehearsal, just like marking out the parts that I thought I was going to be able to sing, but I wasn't. And I remember that really broke me. Like it was just such a tough experience that I just didn't want to do theater again. And then I saw Bob the drag queen on YouTube, and I was like, that's what I want to do. And it was scary. And I don't know. I'd seen drag before. Like I remember the first drag queen I saw was Emery Starr, I believe. Um, but like I don't know. It was very when I started doing drag, it was through my disinterest in what was happening to me in theater, but it also made me very like cognizant of what I brought to the table with theater and as a person, I guess.
Yeah, that's honestly, sorry if you can hear the dogs in the background, first of all. I don't know if you can. Um,
Oh,
but
I thought it was the dog in our backyard right now
oh,
for a
word.
second.
But yeah, I hate that those are experiences that as like trans individuals, we have to face and
Especially in the theater space.
yeah,
Which
in the
should
theater
be
space.
open, and also theater space started with no women allowed, so it was all drag to begin.
Yeah.
And also, there's like drag characters like in Annie and in Matilda.
Mhm.
Like there's specific characters that are written for drag queens. So it's like, how are you in the queer space ever going to be transparent?
Yeah, very much that.
And I'm glad that you've like, you like pivoted directions, like you were able to be like, this thing is awful, but I'm gonna find where I can blossom and like
Mm-hmm.
and like I don't know, I just think that's beautiful the way that it's like allowed you to like express more of yourself and see more of yourself, and then also be like, you know what, I am a bad bitch, I am great theater, and it's their loss if they don't want me in a play because of their transphobia, because all these people would not be cheering for me, screaming for me right now if that wasn't the case.
At this point, I only do shows that I'm asked to do. Like, I, I, I've gotten to the point now where like I'm confident in what I can bring. People who have seen me are confident in what I can bring. So if I'm asked to audition for something, I will consider it and I will do it if I feel like it. But like, I don't do anything now that I don't feel like I'm going to be valued.
And like, do you feel like that is for you in theater or you in drag completely now as well? Because I know when I was starting, we kind of were competing alongside each other sometimes too. And I know you would talk a lot about how you really felt kind of burnt out with that dynamic drag.
Yes, I definitely, I feel like Drag Race has changed how we see drag. In particular, there's no better drag. Like there's nobody whose drag is more valid than mine or more valid than hers. And so like I got sick and tired of always feeling like my drag was supposed to be judged by an audience, by another drag queen. Like what we bring is so particular and honest to ourselves, and as long as we connect to the audience, and as long as we're connecting to the song that we're doing or the craft that we're trying to articulate, I just don't see that as like something that is as valuable to us growing wise. Like I think growing, we benefit less from being judged and more from doing, more from freedom. I've seen there's certain queens I remember I met at Glitter Hour who just they were so focused and like driven to win that they were uncomfortable and they were unhappy the whole time, and then they lost and they ran out. Like it's just like you can't. It's just I think for me it is both. It is definitely both. Where like in theater I don't do things that I don't feel like I'm wanted at, and with drag, the first time that I feel like I'm not wanted, I'm not doing it again. I'm not. Like I don't I have better things to do than to kiss up to people. And also, in a lot of situations, I'm one of the older people there. Like I'm like, girl, I'm not going to be talked down to by a 24-year-old or something like that. Like I just can't.
Yeah, this is not high school.
No.
And I don't blame you at all. And that was like, I know we just started like 2 kind of competition shows, and that was a little bit of my hesitation as well, because I was like, well, I do hate that like that is kind of where drag is. But at the same time, it's like, that other side of it, it's okay, well, this does offer like, at least like with the one we're doing, the Rainbow Stage, offers, an open platform for whoever wants to sign up to do it. And I think it really does come down to like, how those are managed and how who are running them really run the things, and like that they make sure that they are valuing all types of drag, and they're not just looking for, oh, I just want the one like girl that does the splits or the death drop and this, that. Like it's really, trying to focus on all those encompassing.
Yeah. And you also offer different avenues. Like you, not only do you do the competition shows, but you also do book shows. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like, it's not like you're not just one thing. You offer a lot of opportunities, which I think is another difference for what I'm seeing with Queerlana.
Thank you. And that's really what we definitely are trying to do, because the whole thing is like to make more space, and to be able to help support the community and all that stuff as well. Also, I was going to bring up, I know you mentioned in the forum some that you wanted to talk about like your history and how that plays a role in your art. So I was just curious what you meant by that. If you meant like your history, like as a trans Black individual, if you meant like your personal history of what you've been through,
or as a theater
or
kid.
both. Yeah.
Well, see, I think with what's interesting is with me and art, I kind of never felt like I was a good enough artist in any regard. Like I didn't think I was a great actress. I didn't think I was a great this. I didn't think I was a great that. And it's interesting in how the confidence was built, I guess, and how because I remember I grew up in the church. I was very like I was in the choir, and after a certain point, I was kicked out of the choir, and I didn't understand why. I think now, in hindsight, it's probably because I was openly queer or very visibly queer, you know, um, and I don't know, like a lot of I'd never felt confident in whenever I created anything. And then certain things happened. I remember when my sister passed away when I was 13, I was like very lost and I didn't know like how to find myself after that. Like, and I remember I heard this poem and it was like, when you lose something, you have to let it go, or when you love something, you have to let it go, or something like that. And it was like so beautiful and it was so encompassing and it was so, after that, I felt like driven to write poetry and I felt like to be able to like help somebody feel something and to be able to mourn something through art was important to me. And so that began my love of poetry. Like I remember like after that I was writing poems all the time and just a lot of times the poems have helped me carry through life as a Black trans individual and like, you know, as a person with my ups and downs. And I remember this past year, um, in July, when my grandmother passed away, I was just like, I don't know. It was just it was very weird. It was very like, I was booked for some drag gigs right after that, and I didn't know if I would be able to do it. I didn't know if I would be able to perform, and then I did. I'm here, and I remember doing it, and my mom was there, and I was able to bring my mom up on stage, and
I
it was
thought.
just like, you said what?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I thought that was the performance you were talking about, but I was trying to remember. So
But
yeah.
yeah, no, it was just such a like it was everything I needed it to be, and it was that because I was vulnerable enough to allow it to be that, and allow myself in the moment, and allow my mom in the moment, and allow the audience in that moment, and so in a lot of ways, my what inspires me to create art is my history. It's the things that I've been through. It's the things I'm working on within myself, and uh, you know, being able to pull from that and to draw from that is kind of like the biggest artistic, I don't know, tool or benefit, I guess.
No, I love that, and I think that's like one of the most powerful ways to like live as an artist, to like be able to take the bad shit and the hard shit and like make it into something beautiful. And that is so difficult to do sometimes, but like when you do it, I feel like I don't know, it's very liberating in my opinion.
Yes.
My so I'm glad that you're able to like do that. And that performance was so beautiful of you and your mother on stage.
I didn't know I was bringing her up on stage until literally the day, like until we were doing it, and I was like,
Mhm.
I think I want to pull her up on stage, and so I had no clue I was going to do that, but it was just, I don't know, it was fun.
I love that. I also love like on the poetry note, like I'm starting to realize more and more there are so many. I'm gonna have to look into the connection of this, but there are so many queens and just like queer people, like poetry and queer people just feel so synonymous. I'm realizing and it's one of those things that people don't talk about a lot. Like I feel like we keep
Hmm.
poetry very close to us. Um, but I just find that interesting. Like the more people that I talk to, like almost everybody's like, yeah, I write poetry and poetry has really helped me. And like, as someone who also writes poetry but never really talks about it, I'm like, I feel validated.
Well,
Um,
see, I think that's another thing that is interesting as I get older and as I do more artistically. And drag has allowed me, and drawing has allowed me to realize this. But we oftentimes do a lot of artistic things, but we hold them to our chest. and we don't share them with others as often. And I think so, with the show that you invited me to do on the 14th, uh singing, I'm going to be doing a song I wrote. And so it's just
That's so
it's really exciting. I don't know, to be able to show the things that I've been too scared to. And so poetry is one of those things, and songwriting is one of those things.
Oh my God. I had no idea that you wrote songs. How long have you been doing that? Is that like a new development or?
Well, no, I will say this, writing songs, it's been my secret life, my second life. When I was in high school, I was very the most gay thing possible. I would have ideas for movies for my favorite female celebrities. And so the first song I ever wrote was this intro to a movie, which would have featured Patti LaBelle, Gloria Estefan, Barbara Streisand, and Bette Midler. And I took their songs and I changed the lyrics so they worked together, and they kind of had the idea of the movie in it. And so I've been writing songs for a long time, but until recently, no one has heard any of the songs because I was so scared. I remember one time, when I was at North Carolina Central, I woke up early in the morning, so I knew that nobody would be walking around the campus. But I had a suite mate. I had suite mates and I had a dorm mate, and so I went all the way to the library, went to a gazebo, and sang a song that I wrote that night. I didn't forget it into my phone, and I recorded it. And I have so many songs that I've written and recorded on my phone that no one's heard. And so on the 14th will be the first time that someone besides people who live in my house has heard any of my music.
That's
so exciting.
Yes. You're gonna have to make
I'm so excited.
I will try my hardest.
Yes. And thank you for feeling vulnerable enough to do that with us too. I don't know. I'm really excited. I'm so glad that you shared that. Because
I will say, seeing Nebula sing too was I came up to her afterwards and I was I was going to sing, but I got too nervous. I was too scared. And so seeing her sing and I don't know, it's something about seeing other people like her and Franny and All the Smoke do that to do that in drag. That's okay, well maybe, you know.
Yeah, that's so exciting. Did you all have anything you want to?
I feel I have two things.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, you're a triple threat. Most theater kids are triple threats, and the girls, they're not even gonna see it coming when you get up.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna be so gagged, and not in a competitive way, in a girl, you've been holding back on us kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
I that's so sweet.
But also, even though you've been holding back with your singing, you can see your singing thing, that you can really see your vulnerability on stage. It comes through. Grief in a lot of ways is the same as love, or just the inverse of love. So you can see that vulnerability when you're on stage, and it's why you're one of my favorite performers that I've seen. Not to judge drag, but you are a really fantastic drag artist.
Okay,
that is so sweet.
Judgmentalness, Jesus Christ, and picking favorites is two very different things, because you can say, I enjoy it so much, and you can have feelings and emotions for something because it just hits you at that right moment.
Yeah.
So it's you're feeling the energy of that person, and just because your energies are on that same wavelength does not mean that you are judging anybody else.
Right.
It just means that you are connecting with that person so hard right now.
And I was also it comes through to me that you are a theater kid, because your performances are so polished. It gives theater kid energy.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, the thing that theater teaches you is rehearsal. It teaches you instinct versus objective, and kind of balancing the two. One thing I will say that I have benefited from, which I'm very thankful for, is that I have had very receptive audiences. I am nothing without a good audience. If the audience doesn't give me anything, I'm done. And so whenever the audience responds, it makes the performance better and it gives you more to feed, like to work with. And when you talked about grief being love, 100%, like for me, I sometimes struggle because I think a lot of drag queens like to do a dancing number or a funny number or a upbeat number or a happy number. And sometimes I want people, I want to feel like something that I'm working through. And I get nervous sometimes that people won't be receptive to it or that people won't click with it. But so far they have, which I'm very thankful for. Um, but yeah, grieving is it's a very beautiful thing and it's a heartbreaking thing, but it's also something that like I was writing one time I was writing the song and it came to me and it was the sad version of it. And it was like I realized that you're gone. And it was just like I felt that so 100% so intrinsically. Like I was like I realized, you know, that you're not here, that you're not present, that you're not able, like the things that I love so much, I'm not able to go. Like I can't go to your house and see you. But then by the end of it, I realized, but there's something different. I have the memories of that person. I have a love of that person. That person's with me for everything. Like, and everything I do is the love that I feel for the people that, I've lost. And so, like, there's something beautiful about going to the sad part and then getting to the overcoming part. But I hate superficial happiness. Like I hate a song that's just like you are the best, poppity poopity poop. I hate a song that's like that, and it's like, oh girl, why am I the best? What am I doing? Like it's because I'm human. It's because I've heard and I pushed through and I persevered and I did this and I love that kind of like story, I guess.
And that comes out a lot in your performance. I've only seen you once, so like I can't say like, but going off of like what Megan said, like your energy, if you aren't feeling a song and you try and perform it, it's gonna fall flat, even if that's the song that the audience wants to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So like, oh, I don't really like emotional stuff. I don't really love the sad songs, but you come out and your energy is so vibrant that it like pulls them in, even if that's not something they would normally listen to or like feel or whatever. Now you're giving them that chance. That's literally the whole point of art, is taking your emotions and your feelings and sharing it with others in a way that they can hopefully feel it as well, or like at least a portion of it, or feel their version of it. And so you're being authentic, which is the most important part.
Which also
yeah.
that you're able to, like, your emotional maturity shines through because you're able to be vulnerable with your audience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I think now that I'm about to be 30, I'm claiming it already. I'm saying I'm 30 because it feels good. But like, huh?
I just said period.
Oh, but like being at 30 is so different and so I don't know. I was so nervous when I was 20. 20 was when I was coming to terms with being trans. But now that I'm 30, I'm like I've been doing it for 10 years. I kind of know who I am in a way that I never thought I would. My sister, when I was growing up, she passed away when I was 12, turning 13, and she was 22, turning 23. And so I'm older than my eldest sibling. So sometimes I feel like I don't know. I didn't always feel as confident. I didn't always want to be, here like as a openly queer person because I thought I would lose my family. I thought I would do this and I would lose that. But like like in hindsight, it's very clear that like the only way to get through it, I guess, is to expose it to yourself and to live it. And doing it in front of an audience really helps do that for me. Like it helps me push through a lot of things.
As someone who is also 30, I totally see what you're saying too. Like, I mean, I haven't been through the same experience as you have figuring out like my gender and stuff like that, but like just figuring out who I am, I think there's this subconscious or even conscious, I don't know, thought that like by the time that we're 30 we're gonna have it all figured out. By the time that we are 25 we should be on this course, like, and so that just keeps getting like pushed down down down. By 18 I should know this, by 19 I should know this, by 21 I should be here, by blah 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 blah. And so like when you're in your 20s and you're going through it and you're realizing, oh God, I'm not there yet, I'm behind everybody else, or you're looking at your friends who are starting families and you're realizing that's not what I want, or I'm not there yet, I haven't found a person, like, and you keep comparing yourself to everybody else. By the end of it, when you hit your 30s, you realize like, oh shit, like it's not the end of the world, because there's this many decades that I have to enjoy my life. It's okay if I rebrand myself every year. Who cares? I am me. And it's still going to be authentic, even if I think too, like a lot of people in the queer community are like, well, if I come out as this and then I change my mind, do something else in the future, they're going to think that I wasn't actually that, you know? And so I think that really limits us. So we aren't willing to be ourselves as much. So if we are willing to be like, you know what? I was that, and that was great, and I enjoyed that, but now I'm on to this, and this is also my authentic self. And so I think by 30 we're figuring it out. I'm not going to say we have it figured out at all, but we're figuring out more confidence to figure it out and to find our niche. If we have it.
I definitely think I'm less likely to try to fit in a box than I used to be. In my early 20s, I came out as trans, and I was like trying to lift my voice up. I was wearing heels all the time. I was like, you know, like I was like trying my best to pass as a woman, and I was trying my best to fit into all the. I didn't want to be judged by anybody. And now I'm like, well, girl, I'm a little rough around the edges. Sometimes my wig is a little frayed, you know. I'm in flats today. You know, like these things are just, they're part of me, and it's okay for them to exist, I guess. Very brat. I think brat being like that kind of inspired me a little bit too. Like that, like whole, like, yeah, I could be a little grungy. I could be a little this. I don't know. I love it.
That is also like, it just kind of made me think, like, reflect a little bit on my own like gender journey. And I know that you've kind of seen me like fluctuate a little bit through like the time we've known each other, and like being someone who is like in their earliest 20s, I guess, like it is nice to like, I don't know, just hear y'all talk about it and everything. And like, because like, I don't know, it is stressful. And even for me, like, I feel like I don't want to say that I've detransitioned, because I definitely still identify as a trans individual, but in some way, you know, like I do also acknowledge now that I'm more male passing. And so that does give me passes that maybe it doesn't give, like, you know, my trans sisters who are super like hyper femme all the time and are like, you know, on hormones and stuff, because I recently went off mine. And so it's definitely been an intricate thing for me to navigate. And like, I don't know, accepting that that's okay is like, you know, powerful. And on all sides of it, you know, to be like, I really respect that journey that I went on, and it was very important to my character, but also like there's more to me. And I think also like the norms and, you know, like having to feel like you have to put on, and like you even said, like, oh, I have to make sure like my hair's done every day, and I have to make sure I'm in the heels and the makeup and the outfit. It was like, to me, it got to the point where it was like, why am I really doing this? You know, like, yes, it feels right at some times, and it really does for me sometimes. But then other times, like, I'm just doing it because I feel like I have to fit a narrative. I feel like all kinds of trans people at some point, you know, in their journey feel that way in some regard.
Yeah. I remember when there was a young trans girl who I remember she came out to me um a couple of years ago, and I remember she was talking, and she was in the ballroom scene, and I felt so jealous of that experience. In that, like, in ballroom, you kind of have like this. It's a very community based. When I came out as trans, it was like I felt very alone in many regards, and I don't know. It was illegal for me to use the bathroom. It was just a very, I didn't feel very connected to the community until a few years ago. And so when she came out and she had that experience, I remember thinking, I I think that I got jealous of that in her, and I became more self-critical of my, like, how I identified. And I was like, well, girl, you need to be like her. She's like fish down, like, you know? But it's just, we're just different women, you know? Like at the end of the day, we're different people, you know? And as a queer person, sometimes that is difficult because we are we're pushing through society, but we're entering another society. And then you're like, well, these are the norms in this society, and I need to be this way. But like, that's not why I transitioned. You know, that's not who I am. And so, like, finding the comfort to be who I am is just like, I don't know, very, like, I don't know, pleasing. But I will say, and I don't know why I'm going on this tangent. You talk about going on and off of hormones. I've been on and off hormones for most of my 20s. Right now I'm currently on, and I've been on since towards the midway point of last year. Um, I remember the first time I got on hormones, I was on pills, and I dropped them at the sheets. I was literally at sheets, and I dropped my hormones, and I like literally in like picking up pills off the ground. I was like, girl, this is crazy. I included that in a song that in like a dumb song. But like I was like, girl, I need this. I can't lose these pills.
Yeah, 'cause it's, I mean, hard enough, you know, to get them in North Carolina, and which I feel
Yeah,
like it's been better in the years, but still.
honestly, and that was 2016, I want to say. And so like it was like I don't know, the only way I knew how to get pills was through Planned Parenthood. And I was like, well, I had to go to Planned Parenthood and you know, do all that stuff. And so I yeah, that was now it's a lot more accessible because of folks and like Plume and stuff like that, which I'm very thankful for. But I do folks now, which is a sister. A very good sister.
Yeah, that's
Like obviously kind of like a sucky story, but also so iconic, especially as like a North Carolinian story. Like the sheets floor is just so iconic. But I was gonna ask like where you're from in North Carolina, or where you were like born and raised.
So I was born in Kenansville, North Carolina, in Duplin County, but I was raised mostly in New Bern. We moved around a lot because my mom's boyfriend was in the military. But we lived in New Bern for most of my life. And then for high school, we moved to Spring Hope, which I don't know if you know about Spring Hope, but it's a tiny town. Very little is going on there. No offense to people from Spring Hope, but like it's not like there's no clubs, there's no malls, there's no like there's barely any stores. So it was. I feel like it allowed me to create and write more because there wasn't as much for me to spend my hours doing. And then when I left Spring Hope, I went to Wilson, and I was there for the last 4 years, and now I'm in Rocky Mount. Um, I kind of feel like I became myself in Wilson because I came out like to the rest of my family and like uh, everyday life because I so for from about 20 to maybe 25, I guess 25 or 26, I was out in theater. I was out when I left my house, but when I was in town, I was still presenting mail. When I was with family, I was still presenting mail. The only people I was out to in my family was my mom and my sister. Um, so like when I moved to Wilson, I was out 24/7, and everyone like that saw me knew me as Willow. And so yeah, so I kind of consider myself now a Wilsonian.
Cool.
and how, like, I know Rocky Mount is still a little bit smaller. How does that, like, being, you know, a queer trans individual, like, how is that experience living there, if you don't mind me asking? Like,
Well, what's interesting about being a queer individual in Rocky Mount, well, I will say so. And when I was living in Spring Hope,
Mhm.
I was fired from my job after waiting tables for one day. And this the one of my coworkers for that day was taking me home, and she was like, "Well," because I didn't want the job. My mom had talked them into getting me like a job there, you know. And she said something about like she'd asked me, I can't remember. Oh, so basically, I was like, I know that I wasn't. Weren't looking for anybody, and my mom got the job, and I was like, yeah, well, it's not really that you're a male person because I was male presenting at the time. She was like, I'm just gonna ask you, are you gay? And I was like, well, I mean, I am sort of, kinda. I knew I was trans at this point, and the next day I got a text message, and I wasn't, employed there anymore, and so like it was in Spring Hope, it was kind of I felt a sense of you got to be in the closet. And Wilson, it was like very freedom. Like no, I went everywhere, and like there were people who I could see looking at me sometimes, or like, but it was like very I don't know, like it was. I wouldn't, and I lived my life for 4 years without much of a problem. And so here in Rocky Mount, it's kind of the same. I don't, I don't know. Rocky Mount is a lot more spaced out, and so like people, I don't see people as often as I did in Wilson. But like at my job every day, like people see me with a bunch of makeup on and like looking crazy or whatever, and they've been very nice to me. They've been very nice to me here in Rocky Mount.
That's what I was going to ask as well. Like, what? Oh, well, first of all, I grew up Southern Baptist, so I was going to ask what denomination you went to, where you got kicked out of your choir. Also, you mentioned when you got kicked out of your choir that it was because of not like your openness, but maybe your inability to hide your queerness. Do you always feel like there's been no option to be closeted? Because I know, like, as like a trans woman, there's definitely less of an option to be closeted if you have a full beat on. But like, as like a queer person as well, like sometimes you can like put the mask on, but do you always feel like you came out of the womb gay?
Well, okay, so I thought in certain points of my life, I thought I was better at hiding it than I was. Like, I remember I thought there was one afternoon I was living just outside of New Bern in Tuscarora, and there was my next door neighbors. I was hanging out with them, and they had a girl over, and she like was looking at me, and she was like, "I think you would make a really good girl." And I was like, "Oh, I would love to, but I couldn't handle a period, like a dumb joke, like a very like, you know." But I didn't know then that she was seeing me, and there were so many times that people would pick on me or say things about me because I was queer, but I wasn't out as queer, and I didn't articulate it even to myself. What is the dumbest thing is that I didn't know I was gay or queer until like the third time I got caught watching gay porn. I was like, well, maybe this is a problem, maybe, or not a problem, but maybe maybe I am, the thing I don't think I am. But I don't think it was an option for me to hide. I really don't. Like it I always had my wrists are like this 99% of the time at work or anything. I'm like this. I love I've always loved being a woman. I love this idea of femininity and like negotiating that, and like I hate the idea that to be powerful you have to be more dominant and assertive, and you need to be this and you need to be that. I hated that. And I just really connected to the women in my life, like my mom and my sister. And I had a female pastor. And oh, to answer the original question, I don't know what denomination we were. I'm gonna be honest, but but we had a female pastor, and I remember I was like, oh, she's a great storyteller, and she was great at discussing emotional things that I thought was like, I want to be like that. I want to have those skills. Um, so yeah, so I don't think there was an option for me to hide it. I tried to, but I don't think I was good at it, um, which is funny because I'm an actress and you would think I would be better.
And I like on that note of you talking about like, that powerful female kind of role and not having to like be super assertive and dominant. I feel like I know that you've like had some changes in your drag persona over the years, like a current kind of, mother ink that you have where you're like, she's mother, but she's a corporation, she's a CEO. Like I see that a lot in your drag persona, that strong, independent female, and really trying to bring that out. So I just love to it's nice to know the backstory and the little background there, you know?
I will say, whenever I was really young, and I think I don't know if I talk about. Somebody asked me once why I chose Mother Inc., and I was like, I don't think I answered it truthfully because it was like, girl, nobody wants to hear my story. But like, I remember when I was a young kid, I had this fantasy. I was at my grandma's house, and at this point, it was before they tore down the woods, and I could see the woods, and I was like, I had this fantasy that a pregnant woman would come out of the woods and we would switch places. And she would be the young boy and I'd be like a little mom. And so one of the things I wanted so badly, I have a note that from a journal entry from when I was like early in my transition. And I talk about it and I was like, I really want to be a mom. Like I just so badly wanted to be a mother. I think partly because I love my mom. I'm obsessed with my mom. Like but like also I love the idea that you are helping someone by offering them stories or offering them opportunities to grow or and like insight into themselves. And so like whenever I just really want it to be a mother, and I think with the way things are right now, that is scary to me as a person. And I kind of had to redirect myself. I have a lot of queer people who I consider my children in different aspects, you know. Um, but like I may never have any children, but I am a mother, Mother Inc. You know, and so like so that was kind of the backstory to Mother Inc. I sometimes wonder if I never changed my name and I was still Mixie Match, if I would enjoy what I do in drag and if it would be the same. But I really do think Mother Inc. is kind of she's who I am.
Mhm. Yeah, and I can see that too. And like it gives you that space to like be vulnerable and like I feel like be more just encapsulate everything. And I just want you to know you are a beautiful mother and you've got the mother energy and like I don't know. I think that's part of the thing that I was so like drawn to you. Like you just have this warm, nurturing, real energy. And that's so rare, you know, and even in the drag scene sometimes the claws come out and it can get all messy and drama filled and it's like it's refreshing to find people who are comfortable with that vulnerability and comfortable with what's underneath that persona as well. Uh,
Yeah,
and I really
that
appreciate
is
that. So.
that is one of the things that kind of I was so whenever I first saw when I first came was coming to terms with being trans, I had a trans guy friend who was like, "Well, you're a drag queen," because I was just dressing up and taking pictures and stuff like that. You know, I was thought about being a drag queen, but then I was like, "Girl, I'm gonna be honest with you. Emotionally, I'm scared."
That was
Like, 'cause they could be tough, you know. And so, I remember that I have had this friend from high school who I knew from theater who was a drag queen. Um, and I had just came out as trans, and she saw me, and I will say I was looking rough, but like I don't know, it was just uncalled for. And she told me she was like, "You look like the last man on earth in a dress," and I remember feeling this big and like so. I was like, I'm ready to go home, you know. And years later, now she comes up to me, no longer a drag queen, but like she'll come up to me and she's like, you know, I love you and stuff like that. And she's always so sweet. But I know at that time she was dealing with alcoholism and stuff like that. So she had a lot going on in her life. And so like you know, grace to her, but like it was something that I was scared of. I was very scared about doing drag. And so now that I'm a drag queen, I have to consciously make the decision to like, okay, well, they could be as shit as they want to be to me, or they can like not like me or whatever, but I'm going to have a good time. You know, I'm going to, you know, focus on like the people who give me the opportunity and the way of like doing my art. And I think low key knowing drag kings and like working with drag kings has helped with that. Like Thai Fieri is one of my favorite people. He just is always supportive and always like he's always going to be as compassionate as possible. And I love that. Like and so that gave me somebody to look at miscreants the same way. You know, like a lot of the drag kings are just the nicest people on earth. They are great storytellers, like so artistically inspiring. I love a good I just love drag king is what they represent some of the best parts of the drag community. No offense to drag queens, but I love them.
No, I have to agree, and they deserve that recognition too. And it's so ridiculous to see the amount of shows and things that kings are not included in. Um, it really boils my blood, honestly, for lack of a word. But yeah, and all the people that you listed to, such great people. I have to concur.
Yeah, and I think your take on being judgmental and reading and then being a mean drag queen is a very nuanced take, because there's people who really don't understand it, and it's it has to be funny and not mean to be a read.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be and I think Ruby has kind of mastered that, and being really really nice, one-on-one, but she will read you down.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fun every time. But I think some people really have not mastered that, and they really just are mean girls who are just taking their insecurities out on you. They're well, it's fun because I'm a drag queen. No, that's not what that is. And it goes same for the judge panel. The judges panel in a competition, even though we don't love competitions, should be hey, this is me critiquing your drag, the polishedness of your performance. I just think you came unprepared. Not, I don't like that you did something alternative. That's not what a judgment should be ever.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that's kind of why we started Queer Line. I mean, obviously not specifically for the drag queen things, and performances and things like that, but whenever we got started, it was literally just there's not enough spreading kindness and supporting each other in the communities right now. It's not just the queer community, which also does have so much drama, let's be honest, but just the community in general. If I go downtown, yeah, I might see my neighbors, but do we actually talk? And so competitions, I think, though we don't like the idea of competing against each other, competitions do offer that chance for you as a performer to go in front of people who will positively critique you. Obviously, we know that there are competitions where it doesn't happen, but we are hoping that our competition at least would be a growing experience for every single person that not necessarily every person has, or that it might be hard to get into, or even some of our other stuff the poetry and the karaoke, all that stuff, it's offering you the ability to find that community that won't just gas you off over your shit. Be hey, you know what? I could tell that your emotions were in it this time. I could tell that you didn't rehearse this time. I know what you were getting at. Let's go. Let's do this together. How can I help you with this? And I think that's the most important part, is the how can I help you sandwich. And that's also what I want to ask you. Obviously you performed at our launch party, and I'm sure Koee is the one who has all the lists and stuff like that, but I'm sure you're going to be performing at future events at some point. But aside from just having a platform for you to perform at, how could Queer Line help you?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I don't know. So I will say, I think the weird thing about queer things is that just by existing, you're helping. Especially in this upcoming time, as we sit cautiously, nervous as what the future will hold for us all. But I don't know. That is such an interesting question. I don't know if I have an answer to it. I'm sorry.
Hey, I mean, it's also just something to keep in mind too, that we are trying to build this community. So as you find things, hey, this would really help me. Is this something that could work together on? Or because we are trying to build that community of you need networks in this specific group, and we can try and find them. Literally anything.
Well, see, I definitely think that is one of the things that will help a lot of drag queens, is having that networking and that community. And that's another thing. And I will say this, I love competitions, partly because I got my start in it. That was my drag start, was from Glitter Hour, February of 2023. But so I definitely feel that creating that space and having the opportunity for people to perform and to get up on stage is definitely something that allows you to build community and build that network. Because that's where I met Creatora, that's where I met you, It's just, so I do get that aspect of it. I'm glad that a lot of places are offering spaces for people to perform, and that is definitely the most scary thing as a performer and starting drag is like having a place to. You can be an artist all you want to, but having a place where people can see it and people can experience it, I guess.
Yeah.
And same thing with your magazines, like having art from queer people is like that is so like amazing to me and refreshing to me because I don't know if I've ever known of a North Carolina magazine that has art from people from here who are making art who are queer. I don't know if there's one that exists.
And I think I would have to get back to you on the names. I know there's some, but I don't know that they actually do it the same way or like that they are doing the art version. So I'm really glad that we're able to like integrate it all. Another thing that I was going to mention. Oh my god, why is it leaving me? Oh no! The thought it literally just flew out of my head. Oh my god. What was I gonna say? Oh my god, it was so good. It was so important too.
What was it about?
I don't know.
Was it about?
It was about the art part and the magazine, but maybe it'll come back to me. But sorry to just have that whole moment there.
Well, I'm going to talk while you.
Yes, talk, and when she comes back.
I was gonna say that because we talked about how like a lot of people in the queer community like love poetry, and I think that that's like definitely what we want to like add like into the magazine is like a lot of queer people like poetry because poetry comes from like expressions of like deep emotions that maybe you can't say outright, so you like say it in like metaphor or in like verse, and I think that's really beautiful. And there are a lot of queer people that whether they're grieved or not, they grieve something, like they grieve like the life they couldn't. They weren't queer, like they grieve like the normalcy of just like because like we say all the time, like, we don't choose to be queer. Option, we would probably choose the not getting bullied one. But like it's not options, our identity. So there is like a lot of grieving that goes on with that, which is why I think a lot of queer people like love poetry, and we definitely want to in that space. And then as well, like me and Rebecca being like cis women for the most part, or at least cis presenting women, are like I think what I'm speaking for both of us now. I think what like we majorly want to try to do is like I think a lot of times our cis friends in the queer community see transphobia and kind of just like back off of it a little bit. And I think that that's like something that like we find really, really important is the intersectionality of the queer community. And like when you are faced with like racism or transphobia, to not back off of it, especially in a time like this, to just like be like, hey, don't fucking say that.
Yeah, because they'll say things to our faces.
Yeah, you can curse.
I don't know why not.
Don't fucking say that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm literally writing an article right now about all the transphobic things that people have just said to me. And I'm like, who the fuck do you think you're talking to?
Yeah.
I'm such a lesbian. Like, you think I'm transphobic and a lesbian? What's going on?
I mean, to be fair, there are a lot of people in the LGBTQ community that do not recognize other subsets. Like, there are lesbians don't think that bisexual people exist. Like, there are the LGB doesn't believe in the T. Like, it literally, there's so much infighting, and I think that's what we are working to, like, break the mold in people's minds that, like, I can exist as a white cis bisexual woman who also is best friends with somebody who is Mormon and also loves us, and also be best friends with a trans person who also loves each other. Like, we can all love each other with our differences and not stand for when people are assholes to each other.
Yeah.
Like, this time calls for a lot of like martyrdom almost. Like, you have to like almost be willing to like step out and like put your neck on the line at this point in where we are in our political climate, but recognizing that like trans women don't have a choice but to put their neck on the line. They got on hormones and they put their name down. They're on a list already. So me, like a woman, should also be willing to put my neck on the line for the queer community, because it'd be cowardly not to.
What I think is interesting is there's something about that I also think is, as a trans person, I'm so visible I'm so like I'm read as queer in every room I enter, you know? And so because of that, I had a hard time understanding by erasure, if that makes sense. Like I felt like I had to listen. I remember I was on the way to the club with one of my bi friends, and she felt like I remember she was crying because it was her first time at a gay club, and she was scared that people would see her as a cis straight person. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is something, because you're not as visible as I am. You're not given the same access to the relief that I have, if that makes sense. Because
It does.
I am seen very queerly. People see me and they're like, "Well, that's a queer," and so like they connect to me in that shorthand. And so she wouldn't have access to that. So that was something I struggled with understanding because I have the opposite problem. I think one thing that gives me a lot of uh, personal uh, faith in us overcoming what's coming is we did it before. And I remember being trans when it was illegal for me to use the bathroom. And I remember w- I was doing this show. I think it was the first female role I've ever played. I was doing the play for it at Nash Community College, and I had to use the bathroom. And I was scared to go in my costume to the bathroom at the college. And my director basically pushed me in the bathroom. I was like, "See, nothing happened." Like she was like, it was the way that she was like there for me, and like I don't know, like the acts of people who have supported me have so greatly allowed me to persevere and through things in the first go round of the Trump presidency and during HB2. But like and so I have that same faith in myself and in other queer people. But like there will be queer people who aren't as fortunate. You know what I mean? There will be queer people who will not feel like they're strong enough. And that is my biggest fear, and that's the thing that like I don't I hope to help, to help someone. I wrote this, and I feel like all I'm doing now is talking about songs I wrote. But I wrote this song um uh about, it's called Build Up Girl, and it talks about like the different things that I went through and how I had to kind of create myself around it. And I hope that queer people, if if you're feeling down, or if you're feeling like there's no opportunity, just keep on building a part of yourself, even if it's just, mentally, a part of yourself that you can take care of, a part of yourself that is like protected from everyone else. And it's that thing that whenever, like, if you got to keep persevering, but have that softness and that heart that never like is tarnished, because whenever you have the opportunity to talk to someone, and you have the opportunity to help somebody, and you have the opportunity to be who you want to be, you want to make sure you still have love for yourself. You want to make sure you still have love for life. And so like that is my biggest uh I don't know, my biggest hope and my biggest dream for everybody, every queer person out there, is I hope that like, that we persevere and we make it through it, but we make it through it with up ourselves and our heart and our love for our community and our love for each other intact. I don't know. That is something I'm very thankful that I have been able to do, a lot because of the people in my life. A lot because of the love of my mom, and things like that.
That's so beautiful. And if you are willing to share like some of the lyrics, we'd love to feature it with the condensed version of this in the article.
Okay.
So
Well,
beautiful.
okay. So should I text that to you, or like just say it? I don't know. What's the
I'll follow up with you after the
part?
podcast.
Also, when's the album dropping?
That part.
So my roommate was telling me that I need to record an EP, like, because I was singing. Oh, I think that's the dog in our backyard barking. But uh she was telling, because I was letting her listen to some of the music, and she was like, "These are like good songs, or these are stuff that you should put out." And and so I definitely want to. I don't play any instruments. I have a banjo, but I'm not good at it. So I need a person who can play an instrument, and then I will release them all. Like they'll be out tomorrow. I just they're very folky, very folk songy. I have one song that's like a rock song. It's called Gender Rebel. It's one of my oldest songs. It's so, I don't know.
That's awesome.
I love folky.
Yeah, I love.
Very Wilson of you.
Well, this has been an absolute pleasure. As we're starting to hit, I think, a little over an hour. I guess we will not dig into your time anymore.
Oh wait,
unless y'all have anything else you would like to mention.
Oh yeah, food questions.
Yeah, I almost forgot. I ask these really. I'm a chef, so I ask these really weird food questions. So don't.
Oh, per.
These are like, because I'm gonna put a recipe section in a magazine, and I want to do drag queens' favorite meals, and like recipe test them, and then like put a recipe for like your favorite meal. So, what is your favorite meal?
Oh, my favorite meal. So I'm currently not eating meat right now. I'm trying my best to be a good vegetarian. However, my favorite meal of everything I've eaten right now is like such a country bumpkin thing to say.
I'm gonna love
It's
it. Then.
pig's feet. I love. It is so crazy. I really. It's when I was a kid I would not eat pig's feet, but now that I'm an elderly woman of 300 years old, I just want pig's feet. I have not eaten as like a piece of meat in like a year. I want which I don't know if you can make a recipe for that.
Yeah, like how do you cook that?
Yeah, like what's the preparation?
My mom knows how to make it. Like the last time I ate it,
like a gravy flavor profile or like a
vinegar. Think vinegar, like very vinegar based. And like you put hot sauce on it. It's just
barbecue-y almost.
Yes, almost barbecue. Yeah.
Almost like Eastern Carolina barbecue. Okay, and then what's your favorite way to eat a potato?
That's a good question.
That's that question.
Mashed.
That's a good answer. Ruby also said mashed. She said garlic horseradish. Do you have like a favorite like?
About the same, dude. The same.
Ruby said garlic horseradish.
I'm in with garlic. I'm in with mustard. I'm not in with
do you just like butter garlic mashed potatoes,
or just butter, or like milk?
You know the red skin potatoes?
I love red skin.
Yeah.
Those with some cheese up there.
Oh, like the thick red skin. You like to leave the peel on and put.
Yeah. Well, see, I don't cook, so I get the packet.
Those are so good. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. So when there is a home cooked meal of mashed potatoes and pig's feet at your door, you know where it came from.
Because my grocer sells pig's feet, so.
Do they really?
Yeah.
And so does Nahunta in like Goldsboro, I think. It's like a pork distributor, and like you like walk in there and like okay, this is stupid. When I first moved down here, my dad and I were traveling around just to find a bunch of like thrift stores and stuff, and we saw Nahunta. I don't remember what it says underneath it, but we legitimately thought that it was going to be a museum. And like we were gonna see like I don't know what we thought pork something would be with the museum, but we thought it was gonna be a museum, okay? And so we like go down there and we like walk in, and the first thing that's in the door is a literal pig head that you can buy. But they also have like they use everything there. So they'll like make dog treats. They do like everything. So nothing goes bad. Like nothing gets not used or whatever. So like I'm like I don't want to use them, but they have pig's feet.
But my neighboring grocer also has pig's feet.
Okay, well,
like three like international grocery stores, and they get like full hogs and break them down themselves the same way. So they sell heads and feet, and so.
Do they also have like dog treats there?
No, you can just buy a head and make your own. If you put like scraps in a blender.
Okay, yeah, no,
and then bake them flour, you've made a dog.
I just don't have to do work. So let's be clear.
I respect, but you want her to drive to Goldsboro for probably.
What I'm saying is that I need to. Well, first I have to make Ruby her like lamb tikka masala and her garlic
Horseradish?
mashed potatoes. But then I can give you your vinegar pigs feet. Y'all are picking the hardest meals for me to create, first of all. But that's fine. Drag queens are extra, and it's showing in your food taste.
I can't wait until you have enough recipes that we can make literally a cookbook.
But y'all are like carnivorous, because pig's feet, and then Ruby also said that she loves like a chicken wing and to go like crazy on a chicken wing. Y'all like.
Well, I'm not eating meat, so I'm not currently carnivorous, but I was in the past, and that's
Okay, but if I put like some vinegar or pig's feet in front of you right now,
I would probably eat one.
Okay, that's okay.
You don't want it to waste.
Yeah.
Yes.
But mashed potatoes are vegetarian.
Wait, this will be happening in the future. Just wait till the
What,
next
a
podcast.
drag queen mukbang?
We all mukbang and we eat your favorite meal.
It sounds like the first feast.
I love
We're
this.
ripping a bunch of different shows. All food shows are gonna rip each other though.
What is art but other pieces of art?
It's art. Art is a mosaic of other pieces of art. And yes, I am ripping other food shows, but like food is food. People are gonna eat. You can't really copyright that.
Valid.
Yeah.
I mean, people could try. It is capitalism.
Yeah.
Regardless, we'll be back for you. Do you all have anything else?
No, I got to ask my weird food questions. So
this has been so amazing. It's been so nice to sit down with you outside of a club scene and really like all these little things about you and what helped you get to where you are. And yeah, I don't know. You're just such a light, and I'm just so glad we did this.
wait, Diva, when's your birthday?
Oh yeah, birthday.
Say?
When's your birthday?
Oh, April 2nd.
Oh my god.
Okay,
Aries.
I think we've talked.
I'll be doing the show my birthday, the weekend before my birthday and the weekend after my birthday. So I'm kind of like, my birthday is like held hostage, like by the theater show, which I'm very thankful to be a part of, you know. But like, I wanted to do like a big drag show for my birthday, like and have all the queens that I knew there, but I couldn't. I just don't have the time.
To me, though, you seem like such like a well put together, like emotionally like stable Aries, and that is a read at you.
Yeah, but like
maybe it will.
First off, almost together.
That's true.
And okay,
not her.
Okay, age adds to maturity, and also you don't know your moon or your rising sign.
I don't know either.
Okay, well, get with me later.
But you calm, compassionate, sweet.
Are you saying that Aries
stable
and compassionate?
I think that Aries are passionate.
What are you?
A Libra.
Oh yeah, we did.
I love Aries. I love Aries because they're like very fiery and passionate and a little bit chaotic. But you seem so stable.
Oh no, I will say I am all those things. Like one thing I will, I really tend to be like, if I'm in it, I'm in it, and I'm working towards it. But there is through bursts of like inspiration and light. Usually by the time I'm performing it, or by the time I'm talking about it, I've been through all the like the passion of it, and I'm like now like okay, be calm, be a little lady, and like work through it, I guess. But like it's just I definitely do feel that Aries headstrongness, I think is what they call it. Like I do feel that, and my whole house is full of Aries, so we're all like creating and like doing art and stuff, but like we also are all like on our weird cycles.
Oh my gosh. I love oh my god, I can't speak anymore. I live.
Well, it was really nice meeting you.
Officially meeting you. Wonderful. Michaela has so many good things to say just from like first vibe energy. Michaela's like, yeah, Mother's my favorite based on vibes. But don't tell me.
Oh my goodness! I feel so crazy. What say?
I said, don't tell any other queens that I said that because I'm
tweeting it out right now.
Michaela loves you.
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet. I feel like I'm so crazy when I'm in drag. Like I never know how I'm perceived. I'm sorry. Like I just never know.
That's so real. But yes, you are an angel and a light. And I'm so glad we sat down with you. and so excited to have you featured in our February edition. So if you're listening to this podcast, viewers,
oh, this is a podcast?
Yeah, so it is. I know I saw you in your message and I was going to message you. So this is going to be a podcast if you're cool with everything.
Yeah, fair.
Okay. Period.
Where can we find you on all platforms?
Oh, per. Okay, so I'm at DA Mother Inc. everywhere. Like, I'm on TikTok. I very rarely make a TikTok. I'm on YouTube. I have one YouTube video. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, well, X, I guess, Blue Sky, Threads,
Pornhub.
Pornhub, Reddit. Yeah, everything.
Okay, no, that's but it's DAMOTHERINC.
You said what, baby? Sorry.
Okay, it's at DAMOTHERINC.
Yes, per.
Beautiful.
Right. Yeah. This has been amazing. And I will definitely be in touch with you soon, of course.
Thanks for having me. You guys are so sweet.
Thank
It was so lovely talking to you.
Okay. Bye, Mother.
See you, Mother.
Bye.
Thank you all so much for watching the Queer Vision podcast. Once again, I am Koee Starr, Koee of Kanakalan. This is...
Hi, Beck.
And
Megan.
And this has been the Queer Vision podcast. I hope you all enjoyed this episode with Miss Mother Inc. And we will see you in the next one.
So we should plug Mother one more time.
Oh, yes, Mother Inc. You can find her at DAMOTHERINC. One more time. That's DAMOTHERINC on every platform. Go give her a follow. Go give her a like. Go love her because she is a baddie, truly, through and through. Consensually, of course. Like, don't be a freak. Okay, bye.
That was great.